Why are identical twins rare? Everyone is different. We can recognize one another's faces because every face is unique, with different combinations of traits like eye color, skin color, nose shape, and so on. All these differences are called variation. Where does variation come from? Genes instruct for proteins, which determine our traits. People have different traits because our protein molecules are different. And our protein molecules are different because our genes are different. Every human has a unique set of genes, different from anyone else's. At least, almost all of us do. Imagine knowing someone who looks almost exactly like you, so much like you that people often mistake you for each other. You're the same height, your hair and eye colors are the same colors, even the shape of your smile is the same. If you're an identical twin, you already know what that's like. Identical means exactly the same. Identical twins look so much alike because they have the same proteins. And they have the same proteins because their genes are the same. How can two different people end up with identical genes? Identical twins are identical because their genes are the same. How we get our genes. We inherit our genes from our biological parents through the process of sexual reproduction. Each parent has a complete set of genes. These genes are organized on matching pairs of chromosomes. Each chromosome pair has two copies of each gene. However, the two copies of any particular gene can be the same version or different versions. Sexual reproduction involves special reproductive cells from both parents. The mother's reproductive cells are called eggs, and the father's reproductive cells are called sperm. Unlike other cells that have two copies of every gene, egg cells and sperm cells only have one copy of each gene, which means the cells only contain one version of each gene. If a parent has two different versions of the gene, some reproductive cells will end up with one version, while the other reproductive cells will end up with the other version. Each time these special cells are produced, the division of genes is different and random. Every sperm or egg cell is unique. This is a simplified diagram. It shows a cell with just one pair of chromosomes. People don't really only have one pair. We have 23 pairs. That's too many to show in the diagram. While all other cells contain two gene copies, reproductive cells are different. They contain just one gene copy. In sexual reproduction, we have cells from the mother, and then we have the egg cells from the father, and then the sperm cells. Reproductive cells can combine in a lot of different ways. This diagram shows four possible combinations for just one chromosome. Remember, humans have 23 chromosomes. The possibilities are practically endless. When the egg and sperm cell come together from two parents, fertilization occurs. Fertilization is when these cells combine to form the first cells of a new offspring. This new cell has two copies of each gene, one from each parent. Each parent randomly passes on only one copy of each gene, so there can be lots of possible combinations of genes passed on from two parents. The many possible combinations of genes are what give us variation. All variation in human comes from sexual reproduction. Identical twins do vary from their parents, however. Identical twins have the same genes as each other. How is that possible? To understand why, let's think about what the difference is between identical twins and fraternal twins. Because fraternal twins inherit totally different combination of genes from their parents, they can vary genetically. Not all twins are identical. Many sets of twins are fraternal twins. Unlike identical twins, twins have different traits. They may have different eye colors and different heights and can even be different sexes. There can be a lot of variation between fraternal twins. The difference between fraternal twins and identical twins has to do with fertilization. In fraternal twins, fertilization happens twice. A sperm cell from the father combines with an egg cell from the mother to form the first cell of one twin. At around the same time, a different sperm cell from the father fertilizes a different egg cell from the mother to form the first cell of the other twin. The cells of these two twins inherit completely different combinations of genes from their parents. Because they inherited different genes, the fraternal twins will have different proteins, which will interact to determine different traits. Because sexual reproduction happened twice, and each time one copy of each gene is randomly passed on to each of the offspring, fraternal twins have a lot of opportunities for genetic variation. Fraternal twins can be the same sex or different sexes. How identical twins get identical genes. On the other hand, in identical twins, fertilization only happens once. The sperm cell from the father combines with an egg cell from the mother to form a cell. Then this single cell copies itself and splits, forming two identical twins, the first cells of two identical twins. The cells of these two twins inherit the same combination of gene versions because they were produced from the same egg and sperm cells. Because they have the same genes, the identical twins will have identical genetic traits. Of course, even identical twins will develop in different ways over their lives, becoming individual people with different talents and experiences. One twin may be trained to be a muscular bodybuilder, while the other may sit at the computer writing all day. Just because they inherited the same genes, that doesn't mean they're the same person. Even identical twins aren't identical in every way. Identical twins are the result of one fertilized egg splitting into two. Both twins have the same genes, which means they also have the same genetic traits. Identical twins happen when one fertilized egg splits into two cells. The two cells have exactly the same genes.